Hi, good afternoon. This is Charlotte Pierce, the producer of Ready Row USA. You are here on our live stream. If you're listening live, we'd love to have you jump in and give some comments on the discussion sections of wherever you're watching. And you may hear my little tiny dog behind me vocalizing, but I'm dog sitting today. But anyway, I'm here with some special guests to celebrate Disability Pride Month. Kerry Kingdon, whose brand, I guess you'd call it, is Team Tsunami, and she rows and coaches out of Bair Island Aquatic Center in the Bay Area. Is that correct, Kerry?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Patrick Johnson, who is well known to many in the rowing community, is the rowing director at Athletes Without Limits, and is a tireless advocate for inclusion and of all kinds in rowing, as is Kerry. And then later on, we are going to be joined, I think, by Maurice Scott, whose birthday it is today. He's 28, so we'll give him a virtual cake. Anyway, let's see. I'll just introduce a little bit of the sponsors because they make it possible for us to do this show, and they are wonderful. My sponsor, or my web designer, Good Inklings, does my Ready Row USA site, and she is offering this month a website audit. So if you have a website you want to have her troubleshoot it for speed and content and design, she's giving a free website audit. So it's goodinklings.com. And we would have the next one is a Resolute and Sykes. They are longtime sponsors since last year. And Sykes is the new owner of Resolute Rowing. They bought it a few years ago. They're an Australian company, as you can tell from the kangaroo there. Anyway, I have a Sykes single and I love it. It still knows more about rowing than I do, I think. Anyway, and then Burnham Boat Slings is also been a sponsor for about a year and a half, and we really appreciate them. They're always fun to visit at the regattas, and I'm actually going up there to Lebanon, New Hampshire next week, or no, Wednesday with my Sykes, and getting a boat cover, and we're going to go rowing on the Connecticut River up there where they have their facility. This is the dark slide that should be Good Inklings, my web designer, but I don't know. Something happened to it. I'll get it fixed, and we'll have this slideshow and some images of Kerry's and Patrick's activities up on the website. So that's we have a blog post for every episode we do, and the info goes up there. So how are you guys?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Hey. I'm doing good here. This is Patrick. I'm at Fort Belvoir Army Hospital. Just ran across the street from the Soldier Recovery Unit where we just finished Row Fit, and the wonderful USO here.
Yeah. And what city are you in?
Fort Belvoir is actually a Army medical base. Athletes Without Limits, our military adaptive sports programming partnership for our Veteran Leaders Program is primarily at Walter Reed Hospital in Bethesda, Maryland, and Fort Belvoir, which is in Virginia. And so Mondays I'm here with the soldiers, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm at Walter Reed with the Marines.
Cool. Well, thank you for being with us. And Kerry, tell me a little bit about what's going on with you out there, and what's a day in the Team Tsunami world look like?
Total chaos.
I love it.
You see behind me, that's my day. It's just chaos.
Yeah.
It depends on the day. Some days I row in the morning and then I work on the Team Tsunami stuff, whatever designs have come up. Other days I help some friends with work, or like Saturdays or when I coach my ERG class. I mean, it just depends on the day.
Yeah. And you had mentioned Disability Pride Month, which I confess that I was unaware that it was actually happening.
Yes.
But thank you for alerting me. I do some para, I accompany them out at community rowing here in Boston, but I wasn't aware that there was an official.
It's largely unknown. I actually found it during the pandemic, so I've only known about it for a couple years.
Yeah. Well, it's. I know rowing is an amazing sport for people who are, recovering or adapting to different physical challenges, and I see it all the time in my, in my rowing club. But tell me a little bit about, how you got into this. I know you haven't always had a disability, but this came about in the last few years. So.
Technically, they're counting it as developing over the last 27 years.
Oh, okay.
It's just been in the last 10 years that I've been in the wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally got diagnosed with functional neurological disorder last year and dysautonomia in 2018, where I've had all these problems for over 27 years.
Right. And just didn't know what was going on.
They couldn't figure it out. It was, I mean, a lot of the diagnoses really snowballed, diagnosed me with dysautonomia. So once we had a path, it was easier.
And then did you started out as a runner, is that right?
I was a trail runner at the time when I was told I couldn't run anymore. So my running community actually fundraised to get me a racing wheelchair so I could keep running with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I raced for a couple years and switched to triathlon. And then my health really declined. So I ended up doing archery and then got diagnosed, the first diagnosis, and got some energy back. So I decided I wanted to compete. And I couldn't find an archery coach. I met my rowing coach instead. And
there's a picture of you with the archery.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so she was really excited for what I could do and what I could, grow to do. So I switched to rowing, and rowing's actually the longest adaptive sport that I've been doing. I'm actually coming up on 5 years.
Cool. And you coach adaptive rowing too, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was recruited by Menlo College to be an assistant coach, and then BIAC actually recruited me to be another adaptive coach.
Cool. Any questions for Kerry, Patrick?
Well, it's funny. I feel like I've known Kerry a long time. In this small community that we have. As she was talking about the years, I was trying to put it all together. I was like, there's no way it's only been 5 years. I mean, like for me, I know a lot of us all around the country, we lean on each other for, I think, support just by seeing the other people out there doing things. And I know a lot of times, like I'm referred to as an adaptive rowing coach, but I'm also, I'm a disabled veteran, and for me, it was 14 years, give or take, this week, where at this very hospital where I had a surgery that didn't go so well and ended up having my upper lobe of my left lung removed. And that's what kind of brought me over from being the adaptive rowing coach that started the adaptive rowing programs at Walter Reed and Fort Belvoir to being an athlete, per se. And I say more of a patient. And so I swear Kerry was around then. It's funny. I remember days looking back and going, oh yeah, look at her smile. Look at the people who encourage you, the people who make it fun. Are they don't necessarily have to be in the same city. And I think definitely Kerry's energy and her love. I just say that her love is something that resonates in just who she is. And I think at the end of the day, that's more important than a lot of the other craziness that people get wrapped up into. So I kind of had a, wow, it's only been 5 years. There's no way, because I swear she's been in my life for like 15 years.
I know. I have never talked to her in person before. I mean, but I felt like I knew her from just these different stories people were telling and from Instagram and things like that. So, yeah, it's really great. So what do you think, like, I'm on the board of this high school crew here locally in the Boston area, and we're just like kind of flat out trying to finance stuff. I mean, how can clubs like ours do a better job of being inclusive and attracting athletes that like yourselves, who are just so inspiring, but still kind of be able to carry on with the the rowing. Yeah. Do you have any suggestions for us?
Our greatest success is the adaptive class is actually called Everybody Rows.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the adaptive class, but we also have able-bodied rowers in there so they help move the boats because we can't do it. And they help us in and out of the boats. And then we have a couple guys that are visually impaired. So there's a couple volunteers that go out with them as their rabbit. So it's inclusive, and it kind of shows. So when we come in, we all have a job. So the able-bodied rowers are moving the boats and flipping them for me. I wash the boats. The two guys that are visually impaired, they pick up the oars and bring them up. One of them sees well enough that he can also wash them. And if they can, they put them away. So able-bodied rowers get to see what we can do.
Yeah.
And so they end up telling other people, and word gets around.
Word gets around, yeah.
And then the other thing was sending me out to recruit, because people in wheelchairs are going to listen more to someone in a wheelchair saying, you can do this. You have an able-bodied coach come up to you and say, no, this is possible. And you're like, I'm going to go this way. But then my coach sent me to, I actually got recruited at a Abilities Expo. And my coach sent me the next year after I started rowing, and I ended up recruiting quite a few people. So it was, she yelled at me for having so much work for her to do to onboard everyone.
Yeah.
But it was just, seeing someone in a wheelchair that's saying this is possible, it makes it seem a little bit more possible.
Yeah, that's well. There's a guy at our rowing club named Andy, and he's actually does hockey too. He has one leg, and he has an artificial leg. What's the term when you have one leg? Prosthetic leg.
He's an amputee.
Yeah, amputee. Yeah, there you go. So, but he helps me carry my boat. I'm just an old lady down there, and he's helping me carry my boat.
Well, I can tag on to what Kerry's saying, and it's exactly that. The inclusion is the key word. Like for us, our program is built on inclusion. Some people are like, oh, we don't like inclusion rowing. They get all in their feels about whatever a term is. But for us, the example of what makes Athletes Without Limits successful is about inclusion. We have 14 intellectually impaired athletes on our team. We have 35 military or active duty or veteran leaders, and we have 24 youth. And that is from our youth program of Black and brown kids, being quite blunt and real about it. And the key is, it is about, like, our practices aren't separate. They do overlap for a reason, because like the picture there, that's Matthew and Callum, two of our ID athletes at Worlds, kicking butt. Matthew, who won the Head of the Charles last year, but unfortunately will not be able to go defend. But the reality is, it's not the separate programming that is magic. It's when bringing people in. Like, hey, I'm a Black coach, so obviously our youth program, I have 6 African American coaches, so we don't pretend like that isn't important. It is. We have veteran leaders who are active duty or veterans who have come through the program, like Rob Jones and him and Paul Hurley, Dan R, those folks, and they are there mentoring, because that's who needs to go to the hospital to talk to this Marine who just lost his legs and say, hey, here's something you can do. I'm a gay rower and coach. Honestly, it's like we have so many kids and adults in all of our programs who have come out or discuss things in understanding their family, because they go, okay, this isn't taboo here. So I think the diversity and inclusion of saying, when we keep things separate, to me, programs practicing separately, you're cutting off the opportunity for people to get to know and to learn about themselves, to learn about maybe somebody they don't know about. So our motto is one team, no limits. And that's because we don't practice separately. Our masters rowers don't practice separately from our youth, our high school kids. They're like, who carries an oar down, just because somebody's an amputee doesn't mean that they can't carry a boat. And to him, he's like, why would that be funny to him? It wouldn't be. It's like, no, he has his abilities. So we find out what somebody's skill is. And a good example is one of my autistic kids. He can't carry a boat down because when he gets distracted by something, he'll drop whatever he's doing, like to go kick a rock off. So as opposed to going, oh, you just wait. He carries pontoons down. He has an assignment that's so important. And we stress that we have people who are, your job is you're part of the oar team. One of our nonverbal athletes, he's nonverbal, but he's a team captain. He leads stretches because he can do that without saying. So we're empowering each individual to use what they can do, to contribute. Some of our veterans in active duty who may not be able to ambulate down the route, it's like, that person's gonna lead this part. They're gonna be sure that people get oars in properly. So finding those things and things that may not seem important can be very important to someone, as opposed to we don't sit on the side and wait and have volunteers set up everything. Our volunteers are a part of it. They're either on the water or rowing, or it's not our thing. So I think everybody coming together is super important, and you find out that people do, like Kerry said, people need to see themselves there. People need to see a female rower there. They need to see a wheelchair user there. They need to see a Black coach. They need to see a gay man. They need to see a youth who has, Asperger's. So when we do that and stop putting up being afraid of saying these terms, then we find out that there's a lot more to this.
Do you think that there are clubs? Do you think that the clubs are getting better at doing this, for lack of a better word, inclusion thing?
Some are, some aren't.
What's that, Kerry?
I think more are trying.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's an easy answer, because like you guys, anybody who knows me knows that I'm blunt and real. Is like more trying, but just because some people try, and just so they can say that they tried. And we tried that, it didn't work for us. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes maybe some people really don't. Maybe it's not the right space for them to say, "Hey, wow, this is really a lot for us to say." To say a high school team who has a autistic kid, we have 5 here. It's not that easy, and it's not right for everybody. But are you really, really trying? Or are you saying, "Hey, we tried"? Or we see that all the time with inclusion with kids from inner city. Oh, we tried, but they didn't come. Well, you know what? You've got to try different ways. So,
so are you open to people contacting you for advice on being better at inclusion and?
People do that all the time. I've had 5. Yes,
I can't imagine that you have a whole lot of time on your hands.
Well, no, but what the deal is that, like our last 2 regattas, we had guests from out of town who were visiting, and this is the stuff where I'm going, this is what we need to do more. Like I need to go there and hang out with Kerry in what she's doing. Not, I don't like going to conventions and stuff. I like going and actually walking in somebody's life and being there and seeing what she does. I want to find out that joy that she has, and there's that stuff that inspires me, because I'm kind of a dark person. You guys don't know me, so like I am. But I blame it on the military. But I think us not making it a separate thing. You know, for us, you come and you row a couple of days, and maybe you race at a regatta, or you come and you help out with, and you're a part of it. We have Biata, we have people coming there to actually be a part of what we're doing, and not to come observe or to go to a clinic. Got it. Yeah. Well, now we have another special guest who I think you know, because it's his birthday. Yay! Is that Maurice, the birthday boy?
Coach Patrick Johnson.
Maurice is one of our awesome AWL leaders.
I know. And weren't you in with the other athlete, ID athlete that at the head of the Charles? Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got the gold.
We did.
Right?
Yeah, they were the champions.
Yes. I was there, and I did see you. You know, I didn't accost you because it seemed like there was a lot going on. But no. Are you going to be back, Maurice?
That's a great question, Coach Patrick.
Well, I will be very delicate with this, because there's a lot of talk going on right now.
I see.
From parties ahead of the Charles and parties of US Rowing and us, because as of now, the boats that won both inclusion races, the 4 and the double, which happens to be both of our boats, are excluded, because now the rules have been changed to say that the mixed boats have to all be 50%, even though that hasn't been the case for the last 8 to 9 years, and even though there've always been all male boats. But all of a sudden, here we go once again. We win both races, and the rules change. So right now, Maurice, who is the head of the Charles champion, and Matthew, as well as Brooke and the 4, they are now excluded from rowing in the race and defending the race that they won at head of the Charles. So we'll see. We're in hopes that the discussions that are going on right now between head of the Charles committee and US Rowing will hopefully work itself out otherwise. But I'm going to try to remove myself, because it shouldn't be me having to fight these battles for diversity and inclusion. I will mention that both boats do have African-American rowers in it and African-American coaches. And yet, once again, here we are excluding us once again.
Yeah. Well, we'll help you get the word out about anything you need to get the word out about. But Maurice, besides being your birthday, what's going on? It sounds like you got a lot going on with heading to Worlds and things like that. Are you?
Yeah, so I'm going to the Coastal Beach Sprint Trials to represent the U.S. At Worlds. Though that's if I win. I'll be in the single and the mixed double. Competing for that spot next week, and then following that, if I don't win, we'll be Masters Nationals. So it's kind of like back to back. Mm-hmm.
So Masters Nationals in the hot seat.
I've been trying to train in the humidity, but it's but so much you can do. It is but so much you can do. So I'm just kind of going with the flow and just going hard as I can, and
I know.
We'll see what happens.
Just put a humidifier on your head.
Seriously, like a humidifier helmet. I got you, Kerry. Let's sell those at booths, Kerry. Okay, we're gonna have our own booth.
I need all of it. Any help I can get.
You guys, Florida is gonna be so hot.
I know. Didn't some Masters athlete pass out there one year or something?
That's a great question. I don't even know, but
you're so young. You wouldn't, you know.
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past anybody. With the humidity down there, I feel like can affect anybody from my age on down or on up.
Yeah, Florida's crazy.
What is your age, by the way, Mr. Birthday?
I just turned 28.
Hey, 28. See, what you guys don't know about me and Maurice, we're very much like the same person, but generations. Because even our birthdays, we discovered, because Maurice was in our quad that came in second at Masters Nationals last year, and my birthday is actually Wednesday, and so we're both the Leo Lions. So we, from day one, knew, wow, and even to the point that our first practice last year, I put my phone in his backpack by mistake. So he had my cell phone for like a week. And he was like, and finally it's like, it was ringing. And at this point, I'm like, anybody who knows me knows I lose phones all the time. So I was like, oh yeah. So
did he give the right responses to your texts?
He did. He went to meetings for me, everything. But we've been,
So
I just want to add to that.
yeah,
I'm not like them, but my birthday was last Wednesday.
Oh my gosh! Happy birthday!
Back to back. Love it.
People.
Summer babies.
Yes.
Well, I was June 18th.
That's okay. You're
allowed.
Yeah,
we'll allow that.
I'm an outlier. Yeah. But I was, much to my surprise, I was 66.
Oh, awesome! Congratulations.
I know.
This will be my 54. Even though I keep telling people it's 44. But it's really 54.
Yeah, well, it's the 10th anniversary of your 44th.
It is.
Yeah, right. So, Maurice, since it's Disability Pride Month and you're like a big advocate for inclusion and championing this cause, can you tell me what it is that attracts you to being involved with this area?
So like, first off, I definitely want to give a shout out to Coach Patrick Johnson here, because prior to meeting him, I never really knew what the para rowing world was. Like, I knew it was there, but didn't know anything about it. Never had any type of interactions with para rowers. And so being a part of Athletes Without Limits and having Coach Patrick Johnson, open up his arms for me to come in and kind of see what that's about was just amazing, because you see so many different athletes with different disabilities, but it's very special and motivating to see, because these are athletes that, regardless of their specific disabilities, they still compete. They still are competitive. They still show up and are ready to work. Like, that's the atmosphere that Athletes Without Limits have. And it's, again, it's like one of those amazing things to see. And for me, seeing that, it's just like, these athletes are killing it. I need to be on my A game because they're on their A game.
Exactly. That's kind of how I do it.
Yeah. There's no time to slack off. There is no time to, just kind of whatever is going on. I mean, again, these athletes, I've never seen not one of Coach Patrick's athletes. I mean, I haven't seen none of them not smiling while they're around there and not competing. They don't give up. They don't it. Again, it's something special to see. And I would encourage people to step foot into that para rowing world and to understand where these athletes are coming from. And despite their disabilities and quote unquote limitations, which isn't, obviously, I wouldn't say is a limit, because again, when you lack something somewhere, that means something else is strengthened. And I believe that every single one of those athletes, their hearts are just enormous. And so it's a very special place to be, and definitely grateful again for Coach Patrick for bringing me along, because again, I didn't understand it before that. I just I didn't know. And as soon as I got involved, my eyes were open to it. And I mean, my little brother is on the spectrum, so he falls into that. And coincidentally, my partner, my head of the Charles partner, Matt Hauser, has the same disability as my brother, and they're both named Matthew. So it was just very something. It's very special to see, because Matt Hauser, he's an awesome rower, and just an awesome human being. And he doesn't let his disability deter him from doing whatever he wants to achieve. And for my brother to be under that, having that same disability, is just, it's amazing, because you see Matt Hauser doing it and has been doing it for years. And my little brother is growing up. He's only 14 going on 15. And he's still trying to learn and still trying to adapt to his quote unquote limits. But Matt has been, again, a star in that, and has walked that walk. And for my brother to see someone like that, to be so successful within specifically within the sport and just in life in general is just, again, is a very special moment, and forever grateful for Coach Patrick for allowing me to get to see these athletes and, you know, to be able to just be around it and just to have that energy just flowing, you know, through the battlegrounds and where we train and whatnot. So
seeing that connection was priceless too. I'm going to tell everyone at Head of the Charles when Maurice and Matthew came off the water and Matthew shared with me there about his brother. That's when I found out, and seeing how much it meant personally. And, you know, when he talks about the smiles, I mean, like, I know Kerry's going to be embarrassed, but you know, I feel like you know, because she needs to know, because like you know,
she's
some
got
of
the
my
best
disability.
smile of anyone.
Yeah, she does. You know, some of my disability is anxiety disorder, and the thing where I'm the most messed up is at big events and stuff. It's one of my things with my military. So when I'm at events and stuff like that, I hate it. It's the worst thing for me. And so little things like somebody who just smiles at you makes a world of difference. And I remember the first time I met Kerry, it was at San Diego Classic. And I was a mess because that's how I am. I mean, the thing that keeps me, what I love doing about this sport is the exact thing that also is my worst nightmare. And so when Kerry, like when somebody just smiles or gives you that love, it helps, it makes it okay. And so hearing the examples, and I say that to say the examples that we do, our actions, that's what's helping that person. Matthew Hauser, who's amazing, just, his actions, I know, have changed Maurice in being a big brother for his brother. And I remember that day when I could see that light go off where he knows, wow, my brother can do things. He can do more than thought. And seeing, when you see that, light that fire for a family, for a brother, for a teacher, for a parent, that's what does it. And so it comes in many different ways. So, you know, Kerry, keep doing what you're doing, because your example is being out there on the water, being out there, being an advocate. Your amazing, you know, art stuff. I love following. But that's,
I know the art.
Yeah.
Kerry, we have to get together and we have to get, I'll give you my contact, and we have to get your uni, you know, your design unis. Absolutely. They are so different. I just love what you do. So yeah.
No.
Well, let's wrap up here. I was going to give Kerry the last word, since we've been sharing the spotlight here. But what would you like to close us out with, Kerry?
You know, I just want to say, go out and try adaptive sports. It doesn't necessarily have to be rowing, but I'm a little biased and I'm going to suggest rowing. But go out and try. Like, we had an open house last year and we didn't get very many participants. So we taught the volunteers and they had a great time. Like, and one of them is actually injured right now. She sprained her ankle or something. So she's out there rowing PR2 because we had showed her how.
Yes.
Just go out and try it. You know, if your boathouse has it or anything has the fixed seats, just sit on it and try it, or even just try rowing without your legs or rowing without the body. It just to see what we do.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Because there's been a lot of, like, my racing chair. I've put some friends in my racing chair and they're like, this is no joke. This is harder than anything I've ever done. And I know ultra runners. So, well,
I saw a video of you out there, and your back was so well aligned. I said I could, and I thought about that the next time I went out rowing. I thought, this is what I have to do, you know. And you might be doing it because of other physical things, but I couldn't believe how straight your back was. It was great.
I've actually gotten some of my core back in the last couple of weeks.
Good.
So,
yeah.
And whenever my coach sees that I have really good body angle, he takes video.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you all for being here and being part of our celebration of Disability Pride Month. It inspires me, and you know, I'm at a club where there's a lot of it going on, but if anybody's coming through Boston and wants to to stop by Community Rowing, I can give you a tour of our facilities. We're a Paralympic training center, as well as lots of other adaptive programs and military. So thank you all. We've got a little echo going on, but we'll talk to you on the next one.
Happy birthday, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much. All right.